Welcome to the Dr. Donna podcast, here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Innovative, evidence-based recovery that helps to identify intergenerational trauma, allowing for freedom and embracement of the healing process. Today, episode 140, Vent Writing. And now your host, Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee.
This is Dr. Donna, and welcome to my podcast. Today I want to talk about a little phenomenon called vent, V-E-N-T, writing. The name, the concept is that vent writing is the cathartic opposite of gratitude journaling. Now, over the years of my private practice, being in private practice for all the 50 years I was in private practice, I heard a lot of people talking about their journaling process, their gratitude journaling, and how it helped them. And I think that's absolutely a positive thing to do. I think it's a good thing to do when you get up every day or sometime during the day, if you can, to think about the things that you're grateful for. That can sometimes help a person get through the day or get through a hard time. And I think it's really useful. One of the problems I have with gratitude journaling, however, is that it can lead a person to what we call toxic positivity attitude. And if you've ever, I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but if you've ever felt really bad, say you've just helped your mother die. This happened to me. So you're helping your mother die. You've been sitting there for days. You're holding her hand and she dies and you feel sad. And let's say she's been, had a terrible disease, and my mother did. And for a year, it was just suffering, right? But it's your mother, all right? So somebody actually said to me later on that day, well, at least she's out of her misery, which to me is toxic positivity. It does not help when you're grieving the loss of somebody that is important to you. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'm glad she's out of her misery, but I'm in my misery now. I just lost my mother. And so, there are people who will sometimes find what we call a positive in every negative thing that comes their way, or anyone else's way, for that matter. And so vent writing, I think, helps people keep a balance in their own sense of reality. Okay? So with vent writing, you get a chance to really say what you want to say. So the person that said to me, well, she's finally out of her misery, I'm not going to blast them. I know they're just trying to, do whatever it is they're doing. And it's not really about me anyway, but it sure hits the wrong way. And so if I'm vent writing about that, which would be helpful, is that I can get all that energy out onto a piece of paper. And anyone that's ever written anything knows that when you write something that's important to you, that has an emotional impact on you, and you write about the emotions that you have, it does help. Okay? So I go, I could go there to my journal and say, today, my mother died, I'm really sad. And then somebody, came up to me and said, well, at least she's out of her misery. And, and just get it out. No bars hold. Just let it roll. And I could have written, I think that was really insensitive, and that person has toxic positivity anyway. No matter what happens, they think that, that there's always something good that happens, and as a result. And that may be true, but I'm really angry about that. And I could even use, cuss words. I can be petty. I can get sarcastic and, say like, well, I wonder what'll happen when that person's mother dies or whatever. Yeah, the point is to get all the thoughts and all the feelings that you have out on paper. All right. And it's very cathartic because you can look at that and see that, well, that really did have an impact on me. And that's fine. I don't have to do anything about it or anything. It's all I have to do is be aware. And so, it does promote emotional regulation. All right. Anger is a powerful emotion. I've talked about this before. It's one of the most powerful emotions we have. It's probably more powerful in a big scheme of things, dealing with people on a regular basis that, motivates people. It's more powerful than love. And just in terms of the kind of energy that you feel when you're angry, or when you feel like somebody slighted you, or, cut you off in traffic, or, been standing in the line at the grocery store with a full cart in the 10 items or less line where you are standing. These are the kind of things, they might seem trivial because we're taught in our society that, you don't express anger. Anger's bad. Anger's actually very good. But it's only a negative experience when you act it out or when somebody acts it out in a negative way. Anger is a gift. It can motivate you to really do amazing things. Okay? So, if you're angry and it's based in reality, you can do all kinds of things. All right. I'll give you an example. I think I know that there are a lot of young people right now who are angry about the climate change and the fact that, very few of our politicians are actually dealing with this and focusing on it in terms of problem solving it. Okay. So they're angry about it and they have a right to be angry. Now, if they're angry and they take out their AK-47s and start shooting political figures, that probably wouldn't be acceptable. It's inappropriate. But if they're angry and they get themselves elected to Congress, that is positive acting out their anger. Now, sometimes we're not able to do anything. Like, so somebody cuts us off in traffic. You can't, there's nothing you can do in the moment except to decide that you want to be safe. And if you're safe, and if you realize that the underlying feeling there of that anger is fear that you could have been in a car accident. And if you have fear about that, then you respond to the fear, not to the anger. That means that you slow your car down and let the person in. You don't want to get into a big road rage about it. But if you're doing vent writing, you can go home and because you made it home, because you reacted appropriately, you can go in the house, you can get out your vent writing journal, and you can write about, you can call them whatever name you want. You can say whatever you want about their driving. You can be sarcastic. You can be petty. Nobody's going to read this but you. Okay? Those small indignities that we suffer, those, they're not really small, but in the big picture, like people who have toxic positivity have a way of taking anything negative and trying to make a positive out of it. But if you recognize that there are moments in your life where you're just mad, you're just angry, and you say, okay, it's all right for me to be angry, and I don't need to do anything about it because I'm going to go home and write. I'm going to write in my vent writing journal, and I'm going to get all that energy out. So how do you do this in a way that really helps you? Well, first of all, sitting down and just writing, I'm angry, or I'm really tired of this, it's probably not going to help. You need to prompt yourself. Like, what am I angry about? What made me mad today? You might even be able to keep track of it in your mind as you go through the day. For instance, like traffic. Some guy cut me off in traffic, almost caused a car accident, and we're all trying to get there. So, I don't know why that person needed to think that they're so special that they, and guess what? We all got there at the same time anyway, right? So these might be some of the things, although, for me, I'm recognizing that could have been a car accident that I would be in. That really made me mad. And so I might write a whole lot more than that. And I might use some words that are a whole lot more me if I'm angry. I might be calling names. I might be using cuss words. I might be, getting really petty about their hairstyle or something. Doesn't matter. Okay. But you prompt yourself, so you might say, standing in the grocery store line in the 10 items or less, and you're in a hurry too. Most people are these days. And there's somebody in front of you with a full cart. You might talk about what they've got in their cart. You might say, oh, no wonder he's blah, 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 or she's blah, 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 blah. It's okay. In fact, it's good to get as much of that out as you can. It's cathartic. You don't censor yourself when you're doing vent writing, just like you're not censoring yourself when you're doing a gratitude journal. Like you're not going to say in a gratitude journal, well, I better not talk about being grateful about that. What? If you're grateful about it, you're grateful about it. Same thing with venting. If you're writing, you don't censor yourself. You say everything you want to say. You say it in whatever way it wants to come out. And you don't have to worry about anything, coming back on you because you're going to store this in a safe place. I had a client way, way back who did do vent journaling for a good reason. Vent writing for a good reason. She had experienced a really difficult situation, and somebody had hurt her deeply, and so she was so upset and angry about this betrayal that she decided she needed to write about that until she was done. And this was before, the idea of vent writing, really popped into anybody's head. But she would write about this person and their betrayal and what that was about and who all was involved. And she called them names. She, hoped that they would, experiences someday so that they would know exactly what it felt like and just really let it out. I mean, page after page, day after day. And she told me that, by doing this, it helped her it helped her get to a place where she felt like there was some catharsis for her, because there was no problem that could be solved here. It had been done. It was a betrayal, and you can't take it back. When you're on the end of that, it's a very good thing to do vent writing. So, she did this day after day, week after week, month after month. And as she did it, she felt less and less of that anger. She was able to sleep again. She started eating again. She just felt better. But she forgot to put it away in a safe place. And somebody that shouldn't have gotten a hold of that got curious, and rather than saying, wow, this doesn't belong to me, start reading it, and caused all kinds of problems again. So let me say that storing vent writing in a safe place is a really important aspect of doing vent writing in the first place. You must keep it in a safe place where, people don't go, or people know better than to go, or, whatever. It's like you might not have a safe that is at your disposal on a regular basis. And even if you do, other people in the house might have the combination. So you put it somewhere else. Maybe you take it with you. Maybe you bury it. I don't know. But it's like if we have something that we really don't want other people to know about or to be able to access, put it there. It has to be in a safe place. And like I said before, you can be as petty as you want. Don't censor yourself for whatever reason. I mean, that some of the things I can think of that I could do vent writing about is people who don't pick up after their dog, on public sidewalks or on trails or whatever. It's like, okay, let's pick up after the dog. And if I see somebody that lets, their dog does its business and then they just walk away, I get angry about that. But then, do I really want to have a confrontation with a perfect stranger? Probably not. And it won't do any good anyway. So if I can go home and do vent writing about that, then it's not eating my lunch that day. These little things that make us angry, that tick us off, that pisses us off, that, we might think, well, it's over, it's done, no harm, well, whatever, no foul. Like standing in the line at the grocery store, seeing somebody not pick up after their dog, these kind of things, we might just go on and even forget about them. But they do start to build up, and that's why it's important. There's the cathartic release, but there's also the reality, and I mean reality. Any therapist can tell you it's not one big thing that sends us over the top. All right? It's the combination of all the little things that just stack up and stack up and stack up because we're keeping it inside. And there also might be big things in there that have happened that have made us angry, and we don't express it. We don't have a way to express it, or we don't know how to express it verbally. They just pile on top of one another, and then they get blasted out. And when they're blasted out, they might come out at a person or in a situation that is really going to cause harm. But it doesn't cause harm at all to write about it. So when you're doing vent writing, you're thinking about the fact that nobody but you will ever read this. Nobody. And that anger, when it's expressed appropriately, is a good emotion. When you stuff it, and you just keep stuffing it over and over and over again, it will come out. Because if you remember anything I've talked about before, emotions are human energy. And when you consider that one of the most powerful emotions is anger, there's a lot of energy that can get stored up in your body. And not only could you lose it and just like scream and yell and, act it out, which isn't appropriate, but your body might decide it's had enough. And then it comes out in illness. And that's not helpful either. And so vent writing is a way that you can express this anger and get it out of your system. Get it out of your mind. When you're looking at, what kind of prompts do I need? Here's some prompts. So one is, I remember that guy in traffic today. My boss made me mad today. My kids are driving me crazy. My spouse got home from work later than they said they would. And there was a lame excuse. Standing in the grocery line. Or standing in the bank line with where somebody's up there doing a month's worth of banking while you're standing in line. These things get to people. And if they don't, you're probably not dealing in reality. Now, I know people who are in such deep denial and delusion that, they're fine all the time until they're not. Okay? So you could say, how can you recognize prompts? Well, one of the ways to recognize prompts is that if you're laying in bed at night, you want to go to sleep, but your brain won't let you. And it starts going through all the things. And, it's interesting to me that when you're laying in bed and you're, going through all the things that your brain can do to you, I call them a brain attack. You're not usually having a brain attack that's positive. You're not, your brain isn't racing with all the good things that happen to you. It's, most of the time, it's about worries. It's about angry thing. You're feeling angry or, somebody crossed you or something like that. And you're just, going over it and over it and over it. And your brain won't give you a break. Think about that in terms of my brain's not giving me a break. And there's something going on that I probably need to get out. So get out of bed and start vent writing. Write about it. Like, I'm really angry at this person. And I'm really angry because this happened. They did this. They did that. And not just, my boss didn't give me the raise that I wanted. And then you stop. No, you don't. It's like you talk about your boss and what you think about your boss and what's going to happen now and how it feels to be passed over and, all these things. You just keep writing. You don't just write one sentence. That's not going to do it. There's no catharsis in that. Acknowledging it on paper is all good. But in order to really get the benefit of a cathartic writing, you need to write. And you need to write pretty regularly. You need to write things that are happening on a regular basis to you. Now, in the beginning, I said, it's the opposite of gratitude journaling. And it is, but it has the same, overall, if you gratitude journal and you just allow yourself to do vent writing, which means that you allow yourself to actually be mad, you're able to be more balanced. Okay? You won't, if you're able to do this vent writing, I would guess that you are less likely to act out in a way that would be harmful to you or others. And by allowing yourself to do the vent writing, is that the probability that you'll become, overwhelmed with toxic positivity, which isn't real, and it usually just makes people mad. If I'm angry or I'm hurting, it's not, it's like it doesn't help me to tell me that I'll feel better later. Oh, I'm still alive, so I know that probably will occur. But to tell me that I'm not experiencing what I'm experiencing will make me mad. So then I'll go write about it. And like I said, it really provides more of a stable emotional stability for a person because they're not always in that negative place or they're not always in this positive place. It's like human experience is more about, good days, bad days, emotions that feel good, emotions that don't feel good. But that human energy is what drives us. And so it's important to acknowledge it. And then last of all, I'll say it again. Keep it in a public place. And read it once in a while. Read it. Reflect. Reflect on what was and what is now. You might be surprised.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Donna podcast here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Dr. Donna podcast is copyright 2023 Dr. Donna Bevan-Lee, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The SoulWorks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. SoulWorks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the SoulWorks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.